to forgive yourself of your flaws and give yourself a pat on the back, to truly accept what you are, and one day learn to smile at all the messed up things that brought you this far.
Love of mine, someday you will die, but I'll be close behind. I'll follow you into the dark, blinding lights, eternal gates of wine. Just our hands clasped so tight, waiting for the angel to spark. If heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied, illuminate the notes on your vacancy sign. There's no one beside you when your soul embarks. I will follow you into the dark. Catholic school, Roman rule, I got my knuckles bruised by a lady in black, held my tongue as she told me, son, it's for a heart of love, so I never went back. Heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied. Illuminate the note from their vacancy sign. There's no one beside you when your soul embarks. I will follow you into the dark. You and me have seen everything you see, from Bangkok to Calgary, and the soles of your shoes all worn down. Time of sleep is now, nothing to cry about, 'cause we'll never go back. Heaven and hell decide that they both are satisfied. Illuminate the note on your vacancy sign. There's no one beside you as your soul embarks. I will follow you into the dark. I will follow you into the dark. I will follow you into the dark.
Thank you. Good afternoon. We will try it one more time. There's not that many of us. We need a mighty good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That is mighty. I like it. Buenos dias. Buenos tardes. Welcome to the Community Church of New York. We're a multi-generational, multicultural community in the heart of New York City, and you are very welcome here. Today we observe Kwanzaa. In particular, we observe the principle of Umoja, which is unity. Say Umoja. Umoja. With strength again, just like good afternoon. Umoja. Umoja. Thank you. Excellent. Please rise as you are willing and able for our call to worship. Repeat after me. All around. All around. Everywhere. Everywhere. Holiness. Holiness. All around. All around. Everywhere. Everywhere. Holiness. Holiness. All around. All around. Everywhere. Everywhere, holy, holiness, holy, holiness. When I say holy, holy, you you say, holy, holiness. Let's try it. Holy, 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 holiness. Exactly. All around, everywhere, everywhere. Holy, 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 holiness. From the highest high, from the highest high, to the deepest deep, to the deepest deep. Holy, 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 holiness. All around, everywhere. Holy, 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 holiness. We begin with hymn 1001 in your teal hymnal, Breaths. You may be seated.
Please join in reciting our chalice lighting words and then join us again in song. We light this chalice, the flame of our heritage. May it ignite hope in our lives, in the community, and in the world. Please join me in reciting our unison affirmation. Unto the Church Universal, which is the depository of all ancient wisdom and the school of all modern thought, which recognizes in all prophets a harmony, in all scriptures a unity, and through all dispensations a continuity, which abjures all that separates and divides, and always magnifies humanity and peace, which seeks truth in freedom, justice in love, and individual discipline in social duty, and which shall make of all persons one beloved community. Unto this church and unto all its members, known and unknown throughout the world, we pledge the allegiance of our hands and our hearts. Now is the time in our service where we greet each other as part of our shared liturgy. As Unitarian Universalists, we recognize our shared values of love, generosity, and interdependence in our greeting each other. We turn to our neighbor, whether they are strangers or friends, and welcome them to our shared space. It's one way that we affirm our interconnected journeys that have come together for this sacred moment that we are all a part of right now. Let us now greet our neighbors. Back to your seats. We'll continue the greetings after the service. So today is the fourth day of Kwanzaa. Tonight is the fifth night of Hanukkah. It's also the fifth day of Christmas, the ninth day of winter, the 364th, because this year was a leap year, day of the year. Whatever ways in which you mark your time, for whatever reasons you are lighting a candle today, may your kinara, your menorah, your chalice, your joys and your sorrows be a source of connection through time and place. As we celebrate these holidays, these holy days, we are reminded of the ways in which light, in its many forms, guides us through the darkness of the world and within ourselves. Whether it is the flicker of the candle on the kinara, the glowing warmth of the menorah, or the chalice that burns bright with our shared hope and love, each flame is a symbol of resilience and transformation. In this season of celebration, reflection, and remembrance, we honor the rich traditions that unite us across cultures and faiths. We pause to recognize the stories, struggles, and triumphs that have shaped our communities and our shared humanity. Each holiday, whether it is Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas, or any other, invites us to deepen our connection to the world around us and to the sacred spark that resides in us all. Whatever your traditions, whatever your journey, know that the light we share today is not just for this moment. It is a light that will continue to burn brightly as we move forward together. May we find strength and unity in our diversity, and may we continue to light the way for each other. Spirit of life, Spirit of love, God of many names and of no name at all. As we come together at this sacred time of year, we pause to reflect on all that has been, all that has shaped our lives and our shared journey. This year is drawing to a close, and we give thanks for all that we have learned, for the challenges that have helped us grow, and for the moments of joy that have bound us together. As the year comes to an end, we hold in our hearts the promise of renewal and the opportunity to begin again. We honor the collective wisdom of our communities, the strength that comes from working together in unity. In this season, we are reminded that we are not alone. We go with each other in shared purpose and mutual care. In this sacred space, we offer our prayers to those we love, to those in need, and those whose struggles remain unknown to us. As we enter the new year, may we continue to build a world grounded in justice, compassion, and mutual support. May we be ever mindful of the ways our actions can lift others, and may we move forward knowing that we are not alone on this journey. Today, we hold in our hearts Judy and Beth, Brittany, Eric, John, Aunt Lucille, Liz, Zoe, Dave, Meg, Matt, Virginia, and Yuri Grant. May they feel our love, our support, and our collective strength, no matter where they are. In this season of reflection, we honor the connections that bind us across time, across distance, across all that separates us. May we continue to find strength in unity, in the shared understanding that we are all part of the same journey. May the spirit of Umoja inspire us to walk together in love and care. And may our hearts remain open to those who need us and to the needs of this world. In a moment, I invite all that are gathered here to come forward to light a candle. And as you light your candle, may it serve not only as a beacon of joy and peace, but also as a reminder of the ongoing work that still lies ahead. May we carry the light of this season with us into the new year, letting it guide us towards healing, justice, and compassion. Please come forward. As these candles continue to flicker and burn for the remainder of our time together today, may they serve as a reminder of our shared commitments, our hopes for the future, and the collective strength we have in each other. May the light of our unity continue to shine in the coming year, guiding us toward healing, peace, and justice. We offer our prayers not only for those gathered here, online, and in person, and for all those we have invited into this space with our words and our thoughts, but for the greater world. May it know the healing power of community, the strength of love, and the promise of tomorrow. As we go forward, may our actions reflect the values we hold dear: justice, kindness, and the unwavering belief in the power of unity. Amen.
Our wisdom story today is entitled The Shadow by Laura E. Richards. An angel heard a child crying one day and came to see what ailed it. The angel found the little one sitting on the ground with the sun at its back, looking at its own shadow. The shadow lay on the ground before it, and the child wept bitterly. "What ails you, little one?" asked the angel from behind. "The world is so dark," said the child. "See, it is all dusky gray. There is no beauty in it. Why must I stay in this sad gray world?" "Do you not hear the birds singing?" said the angel. "Do you not hear the other children calling to you to play?" "Yes," said the child, "I hear them, but I don't know where they are. I cannot see them. I see only my shadow. Moreover, if they saw my shadow, they would not sing at all. They would weep as I do." The angel lifted the child, set it on its feet, and turned its face toward the sun. "Look," said the angel. The child brushed away tears and looked, and before the child lay fields of green and gold, shining dewdrops, and other children running to and fro, laughing, shouting, calling to the child, crowning each other with blossoms. "Why, look, there are other children!" cried the child. "Yes," said the angel, "there they are." "And look, the sun is shining!" cried the child. "Yes," said the angel, "it was shining the whole time." "And the shadow is gone!" "Well," said the angel, "the shadow is just behind you now, where it belongs. Run now and gather flowers, for the littlest ones in the grass need you." Our response will be Imagine by John Lennon.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, and above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries, no, 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 no. It isn't hard to do. nothing to kill or die for, and no religion to imagine all the people, my Lord, living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday they'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder, wonder, wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger, just a brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I know I'm not the only one. I know someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. We'll all live as one, and all the world will live as one.
Thank you. Will, you showed up today. Thank you. I told you you would have another chance. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You might have fallen asleep. That was beautiful music, but we have work to do. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you. Now, I have to say, despite any difficulties or struggles we may have today, and I know some of us are bringing difficulties and struggles today, I know I'm not the only one bringing difficulties and struggles today. We wish each other a good afternoon, not to cover up this discomfort, but to insist that joy is not dependent upon our comfort or our simplicity. We are joyful not despite our difficulties, but with them. Our difficulties have no power over our joy, which does not come from this world, but comes from within us. Though we are limited, our joy is limitless. We gather together in community not because we need joy, but to share the joy that flows from us. In other communities, we might say amen at that point. You're welcome to say that. Amen. Okay. Maybe you're familiar with the song about it. This joy I have, the world didn't give it to me. Do you know it? Oh, this joy I have, the world didn't give it to me. No, this joy I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, the world can't take it away. No, we're not joyful because it's always sunny. We know it isn't always sunny. Sometimes it's dark outside. And friends, I think we have enough evidence around us that this time in our world, this time of year, this is shadow time. It's not sunshine and rainbows outside. Like the child in our wisdom story, it can be easy to focus on the shadow. It can be easy to look down behind us and despair, to keep our backs to the sun and to stare down at the dark gray and believe that a shadow is all there is. Despair is attractive and alluring. I have to say, it's quite nice to sit in despair every once in a while, but we can't stay there. We have good reasons to be sad and scared, so we indulge these feelings sometimes without a second thought to joy. But these are distractions, friends. It is always darkest before dawn. The silence is deepest before the ringing of the bells. Joy comes in the morning. Trouble don't last always. And every night eventually comes to an end before dawn. Before we hurry on back to joy, I want to consider for a moment this night and this darkness. Reverend Peggy shared a wisdom with us last week. I wonder if we remember her saying that darkness is the womb of imagination. Does that sound familiar? Darkness is the womb of imagination. You know, I haven't been able to get that quote out of my mind. It just keeps ringing in me. It just keeps turning in my head because I think I want so badly to turn to the light, and yet I need imagination. I need my imaginings to be born. That only happens in darkness. You see, I might be preaching to you all when I say we need joy, that we cannot lose sight of our joy. But you know, I'm preaching to myself as well. You know, this has been a difficult time of my life, and this month in particular. Some of you are familiar with that. I have reached out to some of you for help and support in my difficult time. And I have come to this darkness honestly. I want to say that even those of us called to the light cannot claim to be above the struggles of the day. Still, some must fear the pain and the darkness. I promised you we won't stay there. Just around the corner on 39th Street, there is an institute dedicated to the life and work of the psychologist and psychoanalyst Carl Jung, if you're familiar with his work. He is a pioneer in articulating the concept of the shadow self. In his own words, unfortunately, there can be no doubt that a person is, on the whole, less good than they imagine themselves to be. Everyone carries a shadow. The less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the more intense, dense it is. At all counts, this shadow forms an unconscious snag, thwarting our well-meant intentions. What Jung is suggesting is that within each of us lies two parts of a whole. The person we want to be, and some part of us that is true but conflicts with that person we want to be. This contrast between our ideal and this shadow causes us to reject and resist the shadow. Remember, we don't like the shadow. We want to be the good things. We want to be the best of ourselves. I know I describe myself with lofty words and ideas. I like to describe myself in ways that I want to live up to. Tell me if you know what that's like. You can say amen again. I want to lead with the part of myself I strive to become. I effectively often end up ignoring that other part of me, the shadow part that I don't want to become. Let me give you an example. I'm going to be a bit more specific. See, I consider myself an honest and truthful person. You can say amen, that's okay. I do my best to present the fullness of a story or perspective transparently and with clarity. I try to share my feelings honestly, and I try to do it with integrity. I try to do it out of self-respect, but also out of respect to the listener. I try to use intentional communication. That is true. And alongside this impulse toward honesty, I also have an impulse toward harm reduction and self-protection. These impulses can sometimes work against each other. I can behave dishonestly without intending. Maybe I cover up how I really feel so as not to hurt someone's feelings. That's dishonest. Maybe I cover up my own implications in a problem because I don't want to come off like the one that made the problem or was the source of the mistake. I try to protect myself. It's dishonest. How do I love both parts of myself? The part that wants to be clear and honest and yet also leans into self-protection and minimizing self-harm. How can I love myself for who I want to be and also love myself for the real person that I am? I know this principle of the shadow holds true also in our church communities, not just in individuals. We hold our values up as demonstrations of the virtue that we seek to embody. This beloved community is one example. We look and strive toward it with our fullness. And yet, if we are honest with ourselves, we have to admit we are not so different from all the other communities who are also trying to become beloved communities and who also fall just a little bit short. Though we intend to be pluralistic, there are limits to how many cultures can safely and distinctly interact in one space, in one community. Though we may value inclusiveness, we must also be aware that for our community to be safe and welcoming, we must be a little bit exclusive. We must exclude those voices that undermine our values. On the one hand, we strive for the ideal version of ourselves, the light, if you will, and on the other, the light always will produce a shadow. How can we be a beloved community that lifts up its ideals and also be honest about the ways that we fall short? I know this to be true on an individual level. I know this to be true on a communal, congregational level. But friends, tell me you don't also see the way this is true on a national scale, today in particular. As we, as Americans, travel and contend with the presence of a very real and frankly unattractive shadow amongst our communities. Alongside these values of equity and liberty, American values both, we must acknowledge the failure of these ideals to address inequality and oppression. If we recognize integrity to be difficult, almost impossible even, on an individual level and on a congregational level, how much more difficult must this task be nationally? What integrity could we seek and find as a nation when we see enemies so easily in the people around us? You can say amen if you feel implicated. On April 12th, 1964, Malcolm X stood in front of a large crowd at King Solomon Baptist Church. This was in Detroit, Michigan. He had delivered very similar remarks 9 days earlier at the Corey Methodist Church in Cleveland, Ohio. The power of his words spread like wildfire among the community. Standing room only at the church. Mr. Moderator, Reverend Cleage, Malcolm X begins. Brothers and sisters and friends, and I see some enemies. In the recording, you can hear the community erupting with laughter and applause because he said the quiet part out loud. He continued, in fact, I think we would be fooling ourselves if we had an audience this large and didn't realize there were, in fact, some enemies present. Again, he pauses. I'm not sure if you know this, church, but our numbers are continuing to grow, especially online. More and more people are drawn to our worship services, and more people are watching them after the fact on YouTube. I think it would be dishonest of us to assume everyone tuning in is a friend. I would imagine many people are engaging our services and calling us enemies. Our idealized self might not like to admit the presence of any enemies. In the face of beloved community, all are friends, right? Even the most hard-hearted and hateful people should be welcomed into the full community of brotherhood and sisterhood in beloved community, right? Maybe that isn't our problem. Maybe our idealized self is all too keen to recognize the presence of enemies. This is a different problem. Maybe our idealized self thinks that our values are the right values. They must have different values. If they only knew what we knew, they would agree with us and they would join us and they would not be our enemies. Friends, I don't know about you, but just saying that out loud feels a little distasteful and arrogant to me. I know that it is fear that motivates those different from me to seek their own self-protection at my expense, or the expense of those whom I love. What makes me think that I would do anything different with that kind of fear? What makes me think that leading with my values, justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, inclusion, and generosity, would do anything to stop the rising tide of fear? We have good reason to be afraid, church, just as they have good reason to be afraid. We all are afraid. It is a time of fear. But when we become concerned with fear and not truth, we become unhelpfully judgmental of those other human beings most in need of care. Unity, when it is transposed into a value of integrity, is beautiful in theory, but in practice it is messy, dirty work, and we are all implicated, for we are not united. Today is remarkable because this Sunday is not only the 4th day of Kwanzaa, it is also the 5th night of Hanukkah. This is the Jewish festival of lights that commemorate the miracle, a single night's worth of lamp oil that sustained a community for an entire week. It seemed like the community would most certainly be destroyed. There was very little hope to be found. And yet the lamps continued burning. The oil was not extinguished. Life didn't end. A tiny spark of hope was not overcome. It wasn't so much that a miracle was needed, and it wasn't so much that the darkness was not there. The darkness was there, but those hiding with the candle encountered a miracle anyway. There was still plenty of darkness. Integrity doesn't mean ignoring the darkness. Integrity doesn't mean ignoring our shadow. In fact, it is the opposite. Integrity means seeing both, who we intend to be and who we are, and loving both. Friends, that is not an easy job. I'm looking you right in the eye so that you know I don't think it's an easy job. And I didn't come here to tell you to do it because it's easy. It's because we need it more than anything. We need it right now to love not only who we are intending to become, but who we are now and who we bring to this moment. Today, as we observe the passing of another year and honor the festival of Kwanzaa, I am asking us to consider the first principle, unity, not in theory, but in practice. How do we become unified? I will share this is the 3rd time I have observed Kwanzaa in this community. The first time we discussed the 7th principle, imani, faith. It was what I believed we most needed to hear in the moment. I shared a UU version of my testimony. I shared how the life of love animates me with magic to help us see the way of faith. I don't have time to talk about the way of faith now, but you can find that message online on our YouTube. The second time I observed Kwanzaa in this community, we discussed kujichagulia. I want you to say that with me. Kujichagulia. 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 Well done. That means self-determination. I believed last year that was what we most needed to hear because we were consumed by the realities of war. I felt it necessary to remember the power of blessing, that we have the power to give blessings, to be blessings, and to bless things and people, to bless and not curse. In blessings, we create holiness, we spark beauty, we create a way out of no way. I don't have time to give that message either, but again, you know where you can find it. Today we're talking about unity, because today I believe it is what we most need to hear. Unity does not mean perfection. Unity does not mean stomping down the bits and pieces of ourselves that are different or unsociable. Unity does not mean politically acceptable. We don't gather around the lowest common denominator of what we think people can accept. Unity means standing on the side of the messy, dirty world. It means putting away our perfection so that we might become love instead. Our opening quote tells us that it is easy to love the light, it's easy to admire the sun, but it takes great courage to love the corners of our hearts, to forgive ourselves for our flaws, to give ourselves a pat on the back, to truly accept who we are. Now, how many of you have honestly tried to do that before? Honestly tried to love the dark corners of your heart? Honestly tried? I see some show of hands, and you deserve some applause, because that is difficult work. That is hard to do. And I will admit that my efforts to do that have been unsuccessful. I am doing my best to love myself just as I am and for who I want to be. And I believe that each and every one of us has the capacity to be that love, but not alone. We cannot do it as individuals. We can only do it together. That is how we discover who we are, not just who we want to be, but who we truly are and who we come to this space as. We are not perfect, church, but we have not been asked to be perfect. We have been asked to keep our eyes open. We have not been asked to hide from our shadows. We have been asked to see them. It would be too easy to be seduced by the light and to walk into the world with trust and hope and rose-colored glasses. We want to build ourselves into this integrated community built on integrity, built on a network of human fullness. But that's not possible if you're holding on to anger, if you're judging others for their fear, or if you yourself are too scared to become love yourself. So friends, if today you're holding on to anger at those people who are different than you, who are scared, I'm going to have to ask you, at least in this moment, to recognize anger is no primary emotion. Anger is a secondary emotion. Perhaps anger is really fear for you also. Maybe you are scared of what is to come. Maybe not. Maybe you are sad, or maybe you're just embarrassed because someone saw you for who you were and you were trying to show them the pretty part. If you would rather not share the secrets of your heart, I don't blame you. I mentioned I would rather not also. But just know, everything you bring to this community, your ideal self and your shadow, is welcome here. We were not asked to be perfect. We were just asked to be. And congratulations, y'all are. We've done it. Here we are. It is not your responsibility to be everything for all people. It is just your responsibility to be yourself. Who you are right now is beloved. What you bring to this place right now is beloved. Maybe we forgot what amen means, but that's when you say something that you connect to, that you resonate with. When I say that you do not have to be perfect, you just have to be yourself, you say. You do not have to be something, you do not have to be everything for all people. You just have to be, you say. Thank you. Let us love each other here and now in this space, not because we like those who gather around us, but because we need them and they need us. If you didn't know that, all of the people around, go ahead and look around. These people who are sitting around you need you too. We need each other, not for how we would like to be, but just for who we are right now. We struggle in this not knowing. We struggle with our shadows. We struggle with our fear, but that struggle is called holy. Those among us who have had the worst month, me included, have discovered blessings we could not have imagined, not because we are alone, but because we are together, because we need each other, because we are each other. That joy we have been celebrating all month, you remember the joy we talked about at the very beginning? The joy that's not dependent on us being perfect, the joy that's not dependent on us having no struggles. Do you remember the joy that we bring even in our darkest times, even in the midst of shadows? That joy is here now too. That joy is present and available to anyone who would reach out and grab it. That joy comes from inside of us. That joy, our difficulties and our struggles have no power over it. Our joy is limitless. We gather together in community with our shadows, not as we hope to be, but just as we are. And it is this collective witness, this gathering, where we proclaim real joy. Amen. Our musical response will be Jacob's Ladder. As we extinguish our chalice and turn on our microphone. As we extinguish our chalice, I would like us to go from here knowing that we are whole, not despite our struggles, but within them. That all around us and all within us is holiness. All around, everywhere. Holy, 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 holiness. From the highest high to the deepest deep. Holy, holy, holiness. We will finish singing Child of God. Go in peace to love and serve your neighbor and each other. It's good to be together.
Amen. Find a piece of paper.